How are we doing? Today we are going to make a chisel. What I need you guys to do is you're going to have a piece of 5 1/4 inch tool steel. You need to go ahead and cut yourself a piece using a hacksaw. Ask me for where the tool steel is. I'll get you a piece and then you're ready to go over to the furnace. Here we go. We have our metal inside the furnace starting to heat up. We have our anvil. You're going to need yourself one of the heavier hammers and a pair of tongs. Make sure you wear gloves. Flame resistant clothing. This will all keep you guys from getting burnt. Take note, everything over here is hot. So even if it's not, just pretend it is. Don't go reaching for something that you think might be cold. If it's hot, you're gonna get seriously burnt. So, all right, so here's our piece of metal. We have our tool steel in here heating up. I've had it in here for a while now. What I'm gonna do is, if you take a look at the flames, you can see there are 3 distinct flames. You have your outer flame, this is called your A cone. You have your inner blue flame, which is your B cone, and then your C cone. We want to go ahead and just keep our flame, or the tip of our chisel, right in the tip of that blue flame right there. That's your hottest flame. And we're just going to try to get it, you want to get it to like that cherry reddish color. So we're going to go ahead and, I'm going to hold it in here for a couple minutes. We're going to get it real hot before we start hammering on it. What I'm going to do is now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to bring the chisel out, I'm going to lay it on top of the anvil here. You want to make sure that you lay your chisel flat on the anvil before you hammer. If you have it at any sort of angle, you're going to end up bending the metal and it's going to look bad. So make sure you hold it nice and flat. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. Now notice the moment I take this out, you're going to see I'm going to start losing heat. The orangish color that's on the end is going to disappear. Once that's gone, I need to reheat it. I can't just keep hammering it. So here I go. So what I did is I alternated each side, one hit to each side. If you hit too many times on one side, it ends up bending and it's going to look like crap. So don't do that. Just keep rotating the sides, and you can manipulate this. If you take a look, I got a nice bend in my metal right here. You can see it right in here. If I want to flatten that out, I just lay that end down, give it a good hit, and you can see it flatten that, straighten that right out for me. So I'm going to go ahead and heat up that end again. What we're looking to do is taper that end out about a 1/2 inch, and we want to get our end thickness, so the tip of our chisel, to be about an 1/8 inch thick. There we go, hit it some more. What we want to do now is we want to harden this. To do that, I'm going to stick it back into my flame, and I'm going to allow this to heat up till it's a nice cherry red, maybe even an orange color. What we want to do is we want to get it to a point where it's so hot that it's no longer magnetic. And then we're going to slowly drop it into our water here. All right, that's good enough. So here we go. We have that nice cherry red color. What I'm going to do is slowly dip it into my water. This off. Now we're going to go ahead, we're going to take it over to the grinder and the wire wheel. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and grind a nice edge on there, shape our chisel the way we want it to look, sharpen our chisel, and then we're going to go ahead and wire wheel it to get it all nice and cleaned up. So follow me, let's go ahead and do that. All right, so here's our grinder, nice pedestal grinder. We have the coarse wheel and the fine wheel. What we're going to want to do is start off with the coarse wheel. Notice that we have our bucket of water. We need to keep cooling this off. You do not want to keep grinding and heat this thing up, because you can actually heat treat this without knowing that you're doing so. There is a light. If you guys want more light to see what you're doing, feel free, use the light. That's what it's there for. Let's go ahead and turn this on. What I'm going to start with is I just want to go ahead and straighten out my tip. So using this, I'm just going to go ahead and Notice I'm using the whole face of the wheel. I'm going back and forth. I'm not holding this on one spot. Remember to frequently cool it off. A little bit more. Perfect. So I'm going to come over to here now, and I'm going to start to put a tip onto my chisel. I have it nice and straightened out. So I'm going to hold it at about a 60-degree angle, somewhere about right here. And I'm going to go back and forth. And I'm not putting a lot of pressure. Very little pressure is putting on there. What I want to look for is, you can see I have a nice even cut all the way across. We're going to do that now on the other side. Make sure you cool it off. I hate wearing gloves and doing this. This wheel could use a touch-up. Try to get that 60-degree angle. It's a little bit hard. The wheels need rest here, but obviously that'll be taken care of. Do is I want to go ahead and put a little bit of a chamfer on the end of my chisel. What that does is that will actually help when you hammer to keep it from mushrooming out. So what I'm going to do, I like to turn off. This will also help speed down the process of turning this thing off and waiting for it to stop. I like to turn this off, and what I like to do is just hold it like a pencil and rotate it at about a 45-degree angle. And it don't take much. You just want a little chamfer, just like that. Make sure you cool it off. We're going to use this wire wheel here to really clean this up, get it back to its metal shape. We're going to heat treat this, and we're going to temper it. So we have to watch the color change in the tip of the chisel. What tempering is it removes the hardness from forging. So we want to go ahead to see that color change. We need this to be cleaned up. So I'm going to bring this over into the wire wheel. Notice what I won't do is I'm going to use basically from this halfway point down to work on this. Don't use this top part. It will actually shoot it down into the table. Don't come all the way down in here. It sucks it into the grinder and can break it. So don't do that. You can wear gloves. I like to wear gloves when using this machine. It definitely helps keep it from scratching your fingers. Notice the angle that I'm using. I'm using that bottom quarter of it. Notice I'm not trying to let it catch edges. You can see I'm really cleaning it up, making it so we can see the metal. All right, so we have it all cleaned up now. So now we got to take it back over to the furnace to do the last step, which is heat treating this. The heat treatment that we're going to use is called tempering. What we're going to do is we're going to place the tip of this chisel back into our flame. What we're going to look for is color change. You're going to look, what you want is a purple bluish color in the tip of your chisel. What I've found is that if you let it get to about 3/4 of an inch down the tip of your chisel and then put it in the water, it works the best. Right now we hardened it, it's too brittle. If you actually go and use it and try to smash a piece of metal with it or cut into a piece of metal, you'll just break the tip of this. So we need to temper it to relieve some of that stress from forging and remove some of the hardness. So here I go. This is a kind of a quick process. Shouldn't take no more than 30 seconds to a minute to do this. You can take it out and you can see there's your blue right there. That's what we're looking for. There's your color band. We want that blue to be a little bit farther down on my chisel. I'm gonna hold it in there for a couple more seconds. It's traveling still. There we go, it's about 3/4 of the way down. I'm gonna take it and slowly dip it into the water. I don't like the way that. So you can see the blues. That's what you wanna look for, that nice blue in the end of your chisel. From there, you're gonna go ahead and test her out. If she is not working, if you see the tip breaking off or chipping or just not the level of hardness that you want, bring it back over to here, harden it again, drop it in the water, reshape your point, bring it over, wire wheel it again, and then you can bring it back over and heat treat it, do the tempering again, and try it again, and it should work out.
Nice. Cut in.
Notice no breaks in the tip.